Hello, welcome to Collaborate to Win's Facebook Live. We do product knowledge every Thursday at 1 o'clock. Thank you for joining. I'm Heather McManus, and I created this group so that interior designers, decorators, and stagers can make profit and compete with the internet. So today, and each week I bring you product knowledge. So today we're talking about fabrics. And hey, Betsy, thanks for joining. So today, fabrics. Now, I have gotten some funny questions that to me, I'm like, how do you guys not know this? But I think I take for granted the fact that I spent 4 years working for a workroom in Short Hills, the top of the line money place in New Jersey, like serious cash. So they made all of their own window treatments. They did reupholstery. They did a beautiful job. And the owner had every single book of fabric imaginable. If you were a sales rep, he was like, bring it on. He took all the books. So we had a lot of designers that would shop. We had retail clients that would walk in. And so I just kind of know all this stuff about the fabric. So I'm going to share what I know with you, and it's not everything, and it does change all the time, like stuff that just happened with Robert Allen and Dora Lee. I heard they did get bought by somebody in real estate. So how well is that going to go? I don't know. Are they going to be able to turn it around so that you get your fabric shipped in a reasonable amount of time instead of waiting months and months for something to show up? I don't know. I hope so. I hope so because they had beautiful fabrics. And for the longest time, they were the #1 company. When I first started, my first job was at this workroom. And so we sold a ton of Robert Allen. And then Kravet was our #2. So between those two companies, I mean, you really had it covered. But we had everything. We had stuff from Europe. We had the really, really high-end stuff and the starting price stuff. And I don't know if there's a bunch of companies that I'm not even sure that they're still around. So I'm not sure, but there was one called Art Mark. They may not be around anymore because, let's see, the early 2000s kind of rocked the industry and a lot of mills went out of business. So that kind of took down some different fabric companies. So Robert Allen and Kravet and Dora Lee, those are the big ones that everyone knows. So I usually use Stout. That's one of my go-to companies for fabrics. And there are so many. There's like, I could spend an hour just listing fabric companies. But what I think is more helpful is if I tell you where fabric prices start and then what's high end and what does that go for. So starting price on some basic fabric and I'm going to talk in terms of what us designers are buying it for, not in terms of retail pricing. And I'll get into some ugly truth after this. So this is for designers, decorators, and stagers. If you're a homeowner, this isn't for you. You should go watch something else now. Okay, so you can buy fabric starting for $20 a yard. That's about where fabric starts. And it's hard to find something at that low a cost. Usually, the starting price is really closer to $30 a yard. And, within the mid-range companies. And those companies are the Robert Allen, the Dora Lee, the Kravet, the Stout. I've got my little cheat sheet here. JF Fabrics, another good one. Michael's Textiles got bought and I think changed their name. They might be Maxwell or they're like a combined name now. Brymar, although I think they're only trim. Fabric Cut and Stroheim merged together. And Fabric Cut was always like, a starting price where Stroheim was like the high-end version. And let's see, who else on this list would be considered? I mean, there are a ton that I'm not even going to bother listing. So then you kind of go up in price point. So then the next price tier, again, for a decorator designer price, when you've got your resale certificate and you've gone through the process of getting your account set up, I would say starting price for the high end, because there isn't much in the middle there. It's either you start here or you go high end. They don't do a middle bracket. So high end, I would say you could find, maybe you might be able to find a fabric starting at $60 a yard, probably closer to $80 a yard starting price. It is not unheard of to have a fabric cost $300 wholesale price. When we worked at that workroom, there was this gorgeous brocade fabric. Oh, I should have dug it out. I still have a little piece of it. It was by Scalamandre, which is like, the Lamborghini of fabric companies. I believe French based. So this was just crazy stunning, and it came in a couple of fabrics. So we had a sample out for somebody that was thinking about it, and everyone that walked in was like, "Oh my God, what is that? I want that. How do I use that?" And I would say, that's a very expensive fabric. I don't think you really want that. And they were like, "Well, do you have anything else like it?" And after you've seen that, there's nothing else like it. I mean, it's a brocade. You could find a print. It's never going to have the same look and quality, and so it's just not as stunning. So we would use it sparingly. So you do, if it's a bedroom, you could do the bed skirt and a couple of pillows in that really expensive $300 a yard fabric, and really make a statement, and you still get it in the room. So that's just kind of one way that we used to, put a little bit of the expensive stuff, and then, sell some regular, $50 a yard fabric to go with it. So, so the high-end companies, it's really not unheard of to spend $100 a yard, $200 a yard. That's pretty standard. And I know that's shocking, but it's what it costs, because, Kia is a car, and so is Bentley. They're both cars. They cost very different prices, right? So we're talking high end. There's a reason for it. Okay, so B Burger, and I'm not even sure if they're still around, but that was a fabric company that was high end. Stroheim, Jab was also part of Stroheim. It was their European. So the European colors are super saturated, bright color, or real dark. Very different from what the American market usually goes for. Who else do we have on here? I would kind of put Tebow up there. There may be one that could be considered in the middle, because you can find that middle ground pricing from them. Who else? Zoffany and Sanderson, Scalamandre, and I know I'm like missing a bunch of others. Let's see, I've got one of their samples here. Who is this? Blanking on names. Osborne and Little. And so Osborne and Little and Zoffany, Sanderson, they probably are made everywhere in the world, but they're a company based in the United Kingdom. So this is coming from England. So on top of it being a little bit more high end in price point, you might have to wait just slightly longer for it to show up, get through customs, and get to your workroom. So those are some things to think about, is where does this ship from? And I'm sure that they're probably sourcing from everywhere in the world. So I do have some samples that I can show you, and I'm going to talk about how you wind up getting books. So you really need to talk to your local sales rep. And if you don't know who that is, because how would you know that if they didn't call you, you go to the website, I would say. So you go to whatever fabric company you want to invest your time and money into, and you find out who your sales rep is. You get a meeting with them. They show you the books. See if it's a line that you feel like this fits me and my clients. This feels like a good fit. And, you know, get a feel for what their pricing is, get a feel for what their websites are, because I gotta say, Stout is one of my favorites, and one of the reasons that they're such a favorite of mine is because their website is amazing. I don't have to actually call anyone almost ever because I can do it all right there. It's easy. It's a no-brainer thing. Whereas JF Fabrics, I'm sorry, if you're watching, executives from JF Fabrics, your website sucks. You failed on that. I hope you did not spend a lot of money on it, but it is not user-friendly. I had such a hard time finding products I wanted, so then I wrote down my list of memos that I wanted to get. Then I had to go to a different section in the website, and then I had to give like a lot of cardinal knowledge. I didn't write every single thing down. I'm not going to spend 4 hours just to get some memo samples. I'm going to call you. That's what's going to happen. If I can't use your website for that kind of stuff, it's just kind of silly the way they have it set up. And they have great wallpaper and fabric, but your website, not so good. So I contact sales reps, and I started off with books. And so my whole library was fabric books and trim books. So I'm going to show you a couple so you see how big and everything that they are if you're not familiar. So, okay, so they start off about this size, and I have it flagged here. This is one method that you can do is you can fold these over so you don't lose your page. And you could fold it out like this so you can see it that way, or fold it the other way. This is something that we would do a lot to keep track of which one we're thinking about. So a book has like every color in there, and probably, let's see, like 6 different patterns in this book or something. So it's convenient because it's all in one. This one doesn't take up that much space. They always come with a handle, so it's convenient for that. Here's something new. If you've been to market, this was everywhere. The inside and out. So this can go outside and it can come inside, and it doesn't feel like that scratchy, gritty Sunbrella stuff. It has like a real soft chenille fabric kind of to it. Then books get big. So Tebow. This book is pretty decent size, nice and thick, weighs a lot. So bringing this to someone's house is like, okay, how many books am I really going to be able to carry? So this happens to be their indoor-outdoor by Sunbrella. You guys should be familiar with Sunbrella. It's the brand name that does outdoor fabric. So you can wash it, you know, with the hose a bit and leave it out in the sun, and it's not supposed to bleach. So Tebow, beautiful stuff. I love their look. Their quality is beautiful. It tends to be a little bit different and poppy with their colors. I think that their fabrics are very, they're fun, you know, like they have a little bit more young, hip funness to them as far as the look goes. So if you wanted to order from Tebow as a designer, you can open an account and get, I'm not even going to say it because I don't know who's watching. I'm trying not to divulge too much, but I got to tell you things. So it's hard to keep this balance. So, okay, so you would get a certain discount. That's okay. If you buy their books, they give you a much better discount. They give you an extra % on what you could do. This book was $80. Each of their books are around $80 or more. They kind of start at $80. So, and the minute you stop buying their books, their discount goes away. You go back to having no real discount. It's just back to this little standard discount. It's not a great system, and they're the only ones that did it. I actually sat down with the owner at High Point a couple years back, I guess, and I told him, this isn't a great way to do things, and here's why, and he didn't care. He's like, I don't want to change. This is how it's done. It costs us a lot of money to make these books. I understand that. But here's what's happened. I have stopped using books. I still have a bunch of them, and I'll show you a little bit of how I have it organized in my little office here. But I've really gone to just memo samples because this is a very heavy thing to bring along. And honestly, orange is so not my color. If it's my client's color, then of course I'm going to source orange for them. But it's not my like, oh, I love this, I'm inspired by this, this is the one I would go for. I would use the green, I would use this and that and the other thing. So that means half of this book is fabrics that I would use. Then, if you want to actually use it, let's say I love this green and I want this to stay and I'm going to walk away, it's not going to let me. So having memo samples for me has been the way to go. Because a memo sample can be nice and big, and sometimes, you know, you're only going to get a small little bit of it, but this is plenty. You can tack this to the wall, you can tape it to the wall, you can walk away, and it's not going to just flip down and fold over on you. So, so the system that I've gone to has been memo samples. And I do this now. This is just really inexpensive. It's a file bucket. I think I got this at Staples. It was cheap. And I liked the fact that it was clear so I could see, okay, this is the green bucket. And so I have all the buckets here on the wall. I'll show you a second. But I'll get through my samples here so I don't trip on them. So this system works for me. And now I don't need your book. I don't have to spend money on your book. So if I prefer using these and picking and choosing the fabrics that I want, that I would use, it saves me space. It probably saves me money. And I find this to be a much easier way to get materials to my client's house. Because the books, they're really heavy and they leave bruises, like literally. So I really do like this system. So when I have a client and I've done this all by color, I grab the bucket and I have my table that I work on and I just flip through and I'm picking and choosing the ones that I think they're going to like, or ordering new ones to start with. But I have a nice base of library to work from. So let me show you a couple more things. Okay. So I wanted to show you Shears. Okay, so back up a little bit. Fabric is generally 54 inches wide. That's the width from seam to seam or edge to edge, 54 inches wide. Shears can come 118 inches wide. So in 1 yard of fabric, you're getting like twice as much fabric. So when you're pricing it up, keep that in mind. This is going to be less money than, buying a 54-inch fabric. So, and there's tons to choose from now in Shears. There have been for years. Beautiful stuff. You can do a lot with it. If it's a bedroom and you're trying to sleep, you need to line it, which can look silly. So just be careful with that. And so that's some of that. Then I wanted to show you a couple more things about how I'm organized. I have one sheet that I've been looking at here. So in a binder, arm's reach on my desk, because I'm in this thing a lot. So if I'm calling one of my companies, instead of going on their website, because your website sucks probably, unless you're stout and an awesome job on your website, I have all of your information right here on one sheet. So make a sheet with all of the companies that you have accounts with. Put their phone number next to their name. Put your account number next to that, because you're not getting any information unless you have your account number ready. Their fax, and probably it's a good idea to put who your sales rep is or a contact if you're ordering too many memos, and too many memos to them is 20. 10 is even pushing it. because it costs them a lot to cut them, make them, mail them to you. So if you're, and to us, it's like, like we're really getting started at that point, right? So if you're ordering more than 10 memos, they probably want you to just email it to them if their website is caca. So keep your list, keep it in a binder, keep it somewhere organized and safe. If you have software that you're using, it's probably organizing it for you in that realm. I wanted to show you this one is really awesome. This is velvet. It's been sewn and it's on this like really thick linen. So the high-end companies do super fun, fantastic fabrics that you're not going to find anywhere else. You can't compare this to something else that's a lot less money. So the Kia and the Bentley, we come back to, there's a reason for it. When someone tells you this is well over $100 a yard, you go, yeah, of course, right? Not, oh my God, no, because that's what it costs. All right, trims. I have gone to the same system with trims, although I will show you a book. So books for trims are pretty big, but they're light. So, you know, they fold out. So again, kind of awkward in the folding and the seeing it and whatever. So for that reason, I do like the memos. And again, you can like take this off and literally pin it to the fabric and then put the fabric up on the wall and step back with the client and say, oh my God, that's going to be so perfect. Because that's what it takes to sell it. So these are great, and I have a bucket of trims. Then these are pretty cool. These are nail heads that I get through Raleigh Company. And they're a great source, especially if you're a workroom. If you're a workroom, Raleigh's awesome because they have all the pins and the buckram and all the stuff that you need to make things. But they also have hardware and nail heads. So these are some of your standard nail heads, you know, with the different sizes and colors, and then they get a little more interesting at the bottom. Great if you're doing an upholstered piece or a cornice. And then for all my girls who like bling, oh yes, sparkle. I actually did some of these on a cornice in a bathroom and it came out awesome. It was just, it really picks up the light and just adds like a really cool sparkle to a kind of a boring cornice, you know, because they can get really sort of boring. And that seems to be like what everyone's doing now is boring window treatments. Please stop. Bring the swags and jabos back. Bring all the trims back. But if we are still going to do boring cornices, we can jazz them up. So those are the trims. And then here's a fact before I show you around a little bit. You might want to keep this in your head, just like you know 12 inches equals 1 foot. That's just one of those standard things that you keep in the back of your mind and it helps you do your job, right? So 20 yards of fabric will do a standard sofa. That's just one of those figures. You can pretty much guarantee 20 yards of fabric. It could be 22, it could be 19, depending on the size, but as a general rule, 20 yards of fabric will get your sofa upholstered. And for a chair, 7 yards. Could be 8, could be 6, but 7 is generally what it takes. So those are 2 numbers that you can keep in the back of your mind. Memorize it so that if you're working with a client and you're going to send someone else's fabric to that upholsterer, 20 yards for a sofa, 7 yards for a chair. So I'm going to give you a super quick tour of the way I have my office set up. So you can see, I'm just going to turn this. So that cabinet over there, I've got trim books and overflow fabric books because I'm not using fabric book much at all. This little guy over here, I've got a mess on the floor now, but it's usually very full. So that's, let me unplug you. Okay, so that little bookcase is all books. And then we go this way. And here's the wall where I have all of the buckets. So we have, let's see, this is kind of like reds, teal, real blue, golds and yellows, grays and browns, trims. This is red, so what is that? I don't know. Whatever, jewel toned pink, purple probably. Up here, wallpaper. Ooh, wait, there you go. Wallpaper, and then some more overflow books, because once you start getting the books, they really send you a ton of them. And it's, you know, every book isn't one that you're like, lovely. Oh, this is so amazing. I'm going to use that like a ton. And then, you know, it's yours. So if the sale rep comes back, I generally say, I'm not going to use this one, so you can have this one back. And they take it back begrudgingly, and they're like, all right, maybe I can give this to another designer. But what I'm hearing from the sales reps is that everyone is really going to this, you know, whether you call it a bucket, a basket, and there's all kinds of very pretty things you can like put your, this is just a system that was cheap and easy, and I can see it. It's clear. I'm like, that's my teal bucket. I'm grabbing that one. So that is the way that most shops are going to. Most designers have gone to the memo sample way because the books really do take up a lot of time, or I mean space, and they cost the companies quite a bit to make them. I even heard that from my stout rep that when this book, this is like some thick cardboard, expensive chipboard type cardboard. It's printed with their logo, what number book. This takes a lot of work for someone to put this together. I met the people that do that to decide like which, okay, this piece of plastic, there's a company that makes this. And when Robert Allen was possibly going to disappear forever, they're such a huge part of the industry that if they went away, it would affect the people that make the cardboard printed stuff for every company. And the plastic that protects the top part, both of those companies would have like gone out of business if Robert Allen like totally went out. So nothing exists in a vacuum. So it's someone's job to say, okay, these two fabrics are going to be the top fabric, and then we'll go in this order. And then each thing has all of their information on the back. And then in the very back sheet, you've got pricing, which I'm not going to show you because who knows who's watching. So this takes a lot of work and money for them to make. So they're going to be sparing with who they send books to. But if you get a good relationship with a sales rep, they will send you the books. The memo samples can cost money sometimes, especially if you want like a really big sample. If there's a really big repeat, or you just got a fussy client and you know getting a bigger sample is going to help sell it, you can probably purchase. I know with the wallpaper, you can purchase like, I forget what they call it, like a half roll or something, so that you can pretty much like pull it down on the wall and walk back and say, this is the right one. Because otherwise they're sending you a little sample that's this big, and the repeat on the wallpaper is always bigger than that. So, yeah. So most samples are free for fabrics and things like that. But you got to set up your accounts. So, okay, we're going to run over here. I usually do a half hour, but this is important. And it's so aggravating. Okay, so here's the ugly. I said I was going to talk about the ugly. The ugly is the internet. And the fact that these companies do not respect interior designers. They give zero craps about interior designers. Zero, not a one. So they are selling online less than we can buy it for with our businesses and our resale certificate and filling out forms and going through credit checks and giving them our credit card number and proving to them we are real businesses. Oh, this aggravates me so much. So they're online selling to Joe Public. My next door neighbor can buy the same material less than I can buy it for with an actual business. Are you kidding me? And they're all doing it. Oh God. Okay, so I didn't realize the extent that the problem has gotten to until about last week. So Collaborate to Win has 200 vendors. Very few of them are fabric companies. Most of them are the really hard to get into furniture, lighting, rugs, because to make a minimum, if they'll even let you do that, don't even get me started, usually $5,000 is your minimum opening order. Very difficult to do as an interior designer, which is why Collaborate to Win exists. So fabric has never had that. You set up your account and you get the wholesale price. Well, now they're selling less than wholesale and then internet. So this is obviously something I've got to get into for Collaborate to Win to be still profitable in the fabric world. So I will be working my little butt off, trying to get all of that happening and try to explain to the companies that they are shooting themselves in the foot by doing this. Right now, I think all they see is dollar signs. They're just like, well, this is now the way things are going, so we're all going to sell on the internet, and we're going to give Joe homeowner the same discount or better than the designer with an actual business who's trying to be profitable, who has bills to pay. Shame. Shame on you, designers who, not designers, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Shame on you, companies who are supposed to be having our backs. Shame on you for selling to the internet for less than you are paying, giving it to us for. It's not okay. How do you expect us to survive? How do you expect the industry to possibly survive? I, as his designer, will order, I don't know, how many yards of fabric in a year? A lot more than my next door neighbor who might order 3 yards for a pillow and then not even know what to do with it and be like, oh God, why did I even do this? I don't know how to sew. I don't know who to go to. And then she'll give up. This is a lose-lose situation by selling it to the internet for less than what you're giving it to us for. It's not okay. And it needed to be said. So that's all. So I'm going to work on it, because this is not okay. And this is why I started Collaborate to Win, so that we band together and we are the bigger fish. We can suddenly say, you know what, fabric company, I'm going to buy $10,000 worth of your materials this year, so you better give me a better price, because there's a whole lot of us. There are a lot of interior designers, and we've only scratched the surface as far as membership goes. We've got well over 100 people, and we are growing. So fabric companies, you are on notice. Not happy. And I'm sorry, I don't want to leave it there. Let's bring it back up. Okay, we are going to fight this. We are going to get some standards, some like professionalism back in the industry. And if I have to be the face that takes the punch because they don't want to hear it, then fine, I can take it. So I'm going to work on it. We're going to get better discounts, because I cannot believe that they would do this to us. And yet here it is. So, yeah, the world is changing, and I get that. I am a purchaser on the internet. I do that. It is true. But what happened to protecting the trades? What happened to that? What happened to respecting people who are trying to make a living? I don't know, but I'm going to work on it. I'm not giving up. We have done great things with Collaborate to Win already. So if fabric and trim is the new frontier, really, it used to be like the safe one. Like you can just go get your account and just go buy it. So it really didn't need to be part of Collaborate to Win. And now it has to? Really? Okay, fine. We'll just go and do that too. All right. Sorry. I'm a Taurus and a dragon, so I get really passionate and worked up on things. But I'm fine. I'm fine, people. I'm fine. It's going to be okay. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you all being here. So Betsy and, oh, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, but Gwendolyn? I want to say it's Gwendolyn, but I could be wrong on that. Glenda, Sherry, and Megan, thank you guys for watching. Did I say it okay? I hope so. I do have dyslexia. That's like legit. So cheers, ladies. We're gonna make it all work. It's gonna be fine. The industry has to recognize us, and I'm gonna lead the charge because, again, Taurus and Dragon, ready for the fight. You bring it. I will take it. All right. Have a great day. Go make some money. Go be profitable. All right. Bye, everybody.